Hey, hey, GW, coming to you here a little bit late with the story that I'm about to tell you, or not story, news report, I should say. A lot of you guys already heard this through the news, and I want to talk about a few things, but in no particular order, let's just start. If you guys know film as well as I do, then you guys have seen Richard Roundtree had passed. If you guys don't know who Richard Roundtree is, check out the movie called Shaft. It was a 1970s blaxploitation film, which actually crossed over into mainstream media. If you guys know anything about blaxploitation films, some of the coolest movies come out of there. Cooley High, Foxy Brown, Dolomite, and of course the one that everybody knows very well is Shaft. Shaft spawned three sequels and a remake in 2019, I believe, with Sam Jackson playing the title role. Richard Roundtree had a cameo in it. Of course, you can't have a new Shaft movie without the old Shaft in it. It was actually so big, Isaac Hayes wrote a song. You guys should check it out. Um, but anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the movies real quick. Shaft was, like I said, it was a blaxploitation film and one that was huge at the box office. It did spawn three sequels, like I said, one being the remake, which we're not going to talk about. But it was Shaft in Africa. He actually went to Africa, guys. Shaft's Big Score. And there was one other Shaft movie, but I don't remember what it was. But anyway, the films were pretty classic. And if you guys are fans of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you'll hear Will Smith sometimes talk about, how much he idolized John Shaft. And John Shaft's character was a hard nosed New York detective. And he went up against criminals, thugs, and it was great. And it wasn't your cheesy blaxploitation film. It was actually done very well, very tasteful, and I think everybody should at least watch them. I mean, they're pretty good stories. They're actually good. I really enjoyed them. And you know what? The thing with the Shaft movies is that white people, usually in blaxploitation films, are portrayed as stupid or working for the man. Well, this one doesn't do that. This one takes a more serious approach, and it was done really well. Richard Roundtree was also in the TV show Shaft. You guys don't know that it ran for about a year, and he was also on Roots. He's done numerous TV shows, and I believe, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this, guys. I believe he was in a movie called VFW a couple of years ago, in which it was all the old time action films, like, or action stars. It was like, trying to think of that guy's name. He was the Grim Reaper on Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Bill Paxton. No, that's not it. But he was in there. One of the guys from the Warriors was in there, not the main Warriors crew, but the villain, but I can't think of his name off the bat. It had all these old time guys, and it was a really cool movie. And I wish I had it in front of me so I could reach the names, but I don't. But I think he was possibly in that. And that was a movie about local veterans who get together at a bar, and across the street there is a drug pushing gang. And basically, the movie turns into a gore fest. But what actually happens is one of the girls' ODs comes over to the bar and asks for help, and it turns into all out gang warfare, and it's really, really bloody and gory. And I think I reviewed it a while ago, and I really remember it was a really cool movie. It's not something I would expect to be as good, but it was. And I think Richard Roundtree's in that. He's done the voice of cartoons too. I mean, he's had a really, really big career, guys. But one of the things I wanted to tell you real quick before I get off the Shaft kick was that when I saw the film, I was really, really taken to the character. And I really dug the stories, and I think, I think they should come out on Blu-ray if they're not already on Blu-ray. So that's thing one. And we're sorry. I'm sorry to that Richard Roundtree's not with us anymore. I really liked him. He was a good guy. All right. The second thing that I want to talk about is the writer's strike is getting back to normal. All the actors are going back, and our TV shows should be back here shortly. And I can't wait. My wife has been salivating to watch the next season of Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and they're back on track. Um, in horror news, The Exorcist Believer had went right to from a stint in the theater. I mean, a blink and you miss it to video on demand and pay per view. So I don't know what's going on with that. I did hear a lot about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I may actually watch that tomorrow morning and have a review for you. And on a sidebar note, I want to just pause the movie talk here for a minute because I want to be real and I want someone. I know he's listening right now. He listens to all my reviews. He knows a lot about stuff and he never really watches the movies, but that's good because at least he knows stuff. I want to take time out and I want to address Josh Shellitree. Now, you guys might remember Josh. I made a video about him. He's the kid with cerebral palsy who I got to tie a garbage bag, and he was over the moon. And from day one, Josh has always looked at me like an idol, like a celebrity, like I'm a Corey Feldman Hollywood, star. I have a YouTube channel. I'm not famous. I don't fly Lear jets, and I don't drive in limousines. However, I I think that Josh looks up to me because he told me today that he wanted to be just like me. And when somebody tells you they want to be just like you, good or bad, that's one hell of a big compliment. And you guys, what you guys don't know is Josh works with me in my company. And not my company, but the Ability One company we all work for. And he had a chance to go for another job. And he was in the same predicament that I was about a year and a half ago. And he came up to me and he said, "What do you think I should do?" And my boss has moved mountains for me to sort of accommodate what I wanted, what I specialize in. And he really did help me. Josh didn't know what to do. And he talked to me, and I simply told him, bro, I didn't want him to leave. I didn't want him to go anywhere because, we've had differences, we've had arguments, we've had fights, we've had, disagreements. We fight like brothers, but at the end of the day, we all get the job done and we're all a team. And I told him, I said, dude, I don't want you to go. And he was worried that what happens in a couple of years where his, illness or his disability gets the best of him. And I told him, I said, Josh, you're a fighter. You have the heart of a lion. And if anybody with a disability, a debilitating disability is listening to this, I want everybody to know something. And if you meet me on the street, and I'll tell you the same thing, which means what I'm about to tell you, I'm not just blowing smoke. I was fortunate enough not to have a disability, but I give it up to the people that do, because those people, especially Josh gets up every morning in pain, ties his shoes, throws on his jacket, he gets in his truck, and he drives to work. And when he gets here, if the temperature is cold, Josh hurts all day long. But you know what? Josh doesn't quit. Josh may have to sit for a little while. Josh may have to take his time. But I've never seen the kid buckle under any amount of pain. And I worked with the kid for about a year and a half, training him on how to do different types of cleanings in restrooms. And as of course, tying bags and everything. And over the course of working with him, it's just like anybody else. You fight, you don't talk to each other for a while, but you always care about the other person, but you never show it. So Josh had an emotional moment today when I told him I didn't want him to go. And I wasn't telling him what he wanted to hear. I wasn't telling him that for him to stay. I was telling him that because deep down in my heart, I wanted Josh to stay in the company. I wanted him to know that he has help. And his disability, and I told him this, as long as I'm around, isn't going to get the best of him, because I'm going to be there to help him, or my supervisor is going to be there. Somebody will be there to help Josh out. And I was brought up to where I don't judge nobody, guys. And people who know me, know that I am probably one of the most unique individuals on the face of the earth, because I don't judge anybody by race, skin tone, religion, illness, ailment. I don't care about any of that, because to me, there's one rule. If you cool with me, I'm cool with you back. I don't care about anything else. And Josh and me had a really heartfelt moment. I told him I didn't want him to go. And I gave the kid a hug. This is the same kid that called me the devil. Well, you know what? Even the devil has a heart, Josh. And I really am proud of I was able to save Josh, because whenever I was offered another job and I almost left the company, Josh was the one that was really upset, and he didn't want me to go. And it was just very unique on how he saved me from leaving, and I turned around and saved him. And I said to Josh, I know that we sometimes don't see eye to eye, and sometimes we don't speak, but I said to Josh, I said, bro, if you stay here, anytime we get in a disagreement, bro, we'll talk it out. Anytime that you are afraid to talk to the bosses of our company, if it's okay with them, come to me. And you know what? I know Josh. Josh has the heart of a fighter. He's like Van Damme in his prime. But I think Josh doesn't know what he's capable of sometimes. And I wanted to just take a minute and tell Josh how proud I am that he stayed. Because honestly, people start leaving the company you're with after a few years. Something goes with them. Something that can never be replaced or duplicated. And I'm glad Josh made the right choice. And Josh almost cried today. And so did I. Because sometimes when you get into the heart of the matter, it gets really personal. And Josh, I was not lying about what I told you. I really feel that way about you. And I know sometimes we don't show it in this world. And I think that's part of the problem, is that everybody is so protected that sometimes we don't say the true feelings we feel about somebody because we're afraid of what people might say. But you know what? Again, I go back to my old rule. If you cool with me, bro, I'm cool with you back. And I'm glad you're sticking around, buddy. So let's move on. So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's dropped on Peacock, and I am going to check it out. Now, from what I hear, I don't know the whole lore of the film, but it's intense for a PG-13, so I'm going to check it out. And what was I going to talk about? What was the other thing? I was going to talk about something else, but I don't remember. What was it? Oh, yeah. I want to talk about family for just a minute as well, because I think this is going to be a very personal episode of Movie Talk. Um, yesterday, well, actually, yeah, yesterday there was a big shooting up in Maine, and my uncle lives in Lewiston. And when this thing hit, guys, I had my phone on at work, and I was just doing detailing on golf carts, like I usually do, just, whatever. And I say, you know what, he okay. He wasn't in a bar and he wasn't in a bowling alley. But it happened where he lives. And again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, you know what, sometimes we don't consider anything. We take sometimes family for granted. We don't call them on the phone enough. We don't, give them an extra hug before they might come down or leave for the holidays. You know what I mean? So my wife got home last night and texted them, and they're fine. But it's like, what do you do? Things like that always happen. You never picture it's going to be around your family. So I hope they catch this guy. I don't know nothing about the dude, so I don't know. But there's no reason for any of it. And I don't like living in a world like this. But this is the world that we have to live in, where things like that out of the blue can happen. And it's not good. And on some level, it makes you scared, but you have to ask yourself, do you want to constantly live in fear and not leave your house? Or you just want to live your life the way you want to? It's an age-old burning question. But I'm glad they're okay. And I know they weren't the intended targets, so that's another good thing. So let me take a breath on that one. And on the flip side, my grandma turned 99 this week. And you sit there and you think, when you read in your lifetime about all these people that turn 99, it's a miracle that happens to some of these people. My grandma is no exception. My grandma is the coolest, most amazing woman on the face of the earth, next to my mother and my wife. And I have stories upon stories upon stories upon stories about, whenever I was over at grandma's house. And when you're a kid, you look at your grandma and she's better than your mother in some ways. And you constantly want to go over there to get the free candy, or something. And my grandma could cook. In fact, whenever I was about 14 or 15, I said, you know what, Grandma? I said, let's call the shopping or the Food Network. I said, let's have Rosie's Kitchen. She denied me every time. Wouldn't let me do it. But her food was that good, guys. Forget Guy Fieri and Emeril Lagasse. No way. My grandma could beat all of them. And she goes from like this mythic figure to somebody you don't want to stop talking to whenever they move into assisted living or whatever they do. And it's funny because it's only then do you want to go back and you want to build a time machine and you want to go back to where those memories where you feel comfortable with, when grandma's in the prime of her life, But my grandma, she will always be the most amazing woman in the history of my life because she has over 45 grandchildren, y'all. And this woman never lost her cool dealing with all that. Dealing with me whenever I was a kid and I was no day at the beach. And I think because I'm getting older, guys, that I take and I feel differently about things. You know, back when I started this channel, I was a devil may care kid. You can tell. But now I'm thinking, you know what? Every Saturday, let's go down and visit Grandma in the assisted living. Let's go check it out. Let's spoil her crazy because you know what? When she ain't here, that's the stuff that you're going to remember. That's the stuff that's going to make you feel good inside. It's going to hurt, but it's going to feel good. You know what I mean? And I've been having a rough time with the whole thing because I want to keep things the way they were. You know, Christmas at Grandma's, Thanksgiving at Grandma's, and you can't do that. And I'm driving my wife nuts because I go from 0 to like, I just came out of funeral on 3.2. There's no middle ground. But I am proud that she is my grandma. And I'm proud that she lived the life she lived because her life is very storied, guys. And it's going to be a time where I'm going to come on here and I'm going to be a mess and you guys are going to know why. And this is, you know, I wanted to do this last night. You know, make a very personal episode of movie talk. And I know we're going to get into the Halloween season and there's tons of things I can talk about. But I wanted to address these couple of things. Maybe you feel that way about your grandma too. And maybe if you go see her in one of these places, if she's at one of these places, maybe tell her you love her again. Maybe, I don't know, give her a hug, do something. So we're going to try to review Five Nights at Freddy's tomorrow. And I appreciate everybody listening to me because sometimes when you got personal things to say, sometimes you just need people to hear it. In my case, 52, and that's 52 people that I love who watch my channel. I mean, all my fan base. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, Greg, don't you care you got 1 million people? No. If I have 52 or 54 true subscribers, down to earth people that are there through me through thick and thin, that beats 2,000, 5,000, whatever. You know what I mean? And the people who know me know I'm not just blowing smoke. You know what I mean? And Josh knows that too. And again, Josh, I'm very proud of you. So tomorrow, Five Nights at Freddy's. See you there.